This is a public announcement. Could the owner of the food hauler, registration GR3GG5, please move it from hangar 1? The smell of sausage rolls is making me hungry.
This is an emergency announcement. Medical team to Wonders. Rampage didn't wait for the custard to cool. Again.
You know that feeling, like a cold shiver down your spine. You feel like you're being watched. It's a new experience for us on Hutton News, and we don't like it. The other inhabitants of the station are noticing it too, and the sense of unease is growing. The atmosphere aboard Hutton hasn't been this strained since that time Hanky Prime had some of Intarius's very spicy biltong and spent an hour and a half in Cubicle 3. There are no chemical attack alarms this time, though, just quiet tension. The Momus Bog Spaniels are on edge. Gusto is unusually subdued, sitting on a bench, making suggestively shaped balloon things. And the customers at McThargoid's are brooding over their McStiffies as they watch the door. They don't even notice the McTentacle fries escaping off their plates and into the air vents. Behind them, an improbable weather balloon drifts past the window. Across the way in the bar, a strange octagonal object also drifts past the window and out of view just as a customer catches a glimpse of it in her peripheral vision and turns to see what it was. As she turns back, it reappears and commences reading over her shoulder. Security cameras swing back and forth in time with floor-mopping guy's mop, and the emergency broadcast monitors flash up the message, "Everything is fine," which is a sure sign that everything is very far from fine. As the radio crews settle into their seats, there's a small argument as no one wants to sit with their back to the door. Chicks makes his point by shouting, "That's how they got Wild Bill, you know!" Flossie starts swinging her pan and backs everyone into the far corner. The crew are shouting and swearing with recriminations flying back and forth. Things are getting very heated when an elaborate knock at the door silences everyone. Vanteon opens the door to reveal a shadowy figure in a trench coat who holds up a plain brown envelope with the words "Radio Script, Top Secret" printed on it. "The quick red fox jumps easily over the sleeping dog's wasp names," they say. What's the response?
Our mics are live.
Good evening, I'm Rudolph Hucker, and I'll be your host for the evening. Would anyone like a non-exploding cigar?
I'm Amelia Hawke, and if anyone comes within range of me, they'll get a sharpened umbrella point to the leg. What's that green glow?
Oh, nothing. Just making tea if anyone wants one. I'm your Harkness, and this isn't radioactive or anything. Promise.
I'm Poincare, and I have a bowler hat with a razor's edge affixed around the brim. Watch this.
I'm Sandy Crevice, and I'm playing Global Thermonuclear War on this old computer. Oh, who wants to bomb Yorkshire?
I'm Norma Snookers, and I have a dossier for each and every one of you. So pack it in and let's get the headlines done.
Dirigible Ass pleads Federation munitions.
Hutton throws the cat amongst the pigeons in 36 Opingucci.
More mugging with Too Hot, Too Messy.
Atrus 5060s, and I am digging ourselves a hole.
Thargoids appear to close the lid on the witch head jam jar.
And I open the lid on this week's winners and losers in Hutton Space.
Alliance system security was thrown into disarray this week after a series of reports of unidentified flying objects came in from across the space. At first, the Alliance simply palmed them off as probably a comet. They're all over the place, but the Pilots Federation won't let us see them, followed by likely a barycenter. There's nothing actually there. More and more reports come in from pilots that had seen mysterious lights, moving objects and glitches on their radar. And the Alliance finally scrambled defensive patrols just in case it was an incoming Thargoid attack or pirates. The object they positively identified in Supercruise was converted from a UFO to an FO when they scanned it at speed and identified it as an ASP of unknown origin. So they shot at it as it was loitering with intent, and as everyone knows, loitering is a crime punishable by a rebuy. They were surprised when their attack almost instantly destroyed the FO, leaving nothing but a little puff of smoke and no sign of significant debris. Dropping from Supercruise, where the wreckage should be, they discovered a big floating cloth and a teensy tiny little jump-capable pod, plus loads of communication technology stamped with Made in Sol. And they swiftly dialed up the Federation, asking exactly what was going on. Weather balloon was the answer, not an invasion force. Having stuck all the little pieces back together again, the Alliance confirmed that it was indeed a dirigible ASP, cunningly disguised to look just like a real one. A spokesman for the Alliance commented, "Our radars detected it was an ASP, an unusually bulbous and slow-moving ASP, and along with the markings on the destroyed remains, we can conclusively conclude that it's Hudson's ASP. A little bit wide, makes a funny farting noise as it travels through space, and has Made in Sol tattooed on its ASP." When asked why they'd blown up an ASP, the Alliance replied, "We didn't blow it up, the Federation did." The Federation claimed that they were not monitoring Alliance communication channels, as that would be silly, as all they'd have to do is plug in a speak and spell on any passing ship, and it would interpret the finger spaces and atrocious spelling in no time. They instead claimed that the big floaty things like this drift in interstellar space just right when at superluminal speeds to be able to monitor the effect of solar winds near large gravity wells, which is either really clever or technical hokum. In the meantime, the Alliance scrambled combat space patrols to search for more of these, and in fear that the Galnet News Digest would paint them weak on incursions into their territory, shut down anything that they couldn't immediately identify. To date, that includes a commander straight out of the training area who'd forgotten to turn his transponder on, a couple of nav beacons, Universal Cartographics are putting new ones up, an unoccupied escape pod, at least it was when they picked up the wreckage, and a number of their own ships. Aegis have reported that a number of its anti-Thargoid early warning systems had been caught in the crossfire, and the prototype for the new caustic-proof Maelstrom survival kit had gone missing. Oh, and a bunch of engineering students visiting from the Achenar University, a final year project turned into scrap. The Alliance have been at pains to point out that there is no such thing as a UFO, or at least not one they know about. And aliens don't exist, or at least aliens that aren't Thargoids don't exist, or Guardian. They don't exist, but they did, but they aren't so they aren't out to get us yet. They're all FOs, and as far as the Alliance are concerned, if they're not, they can continue to FO, as we're all had a little busy with the ones we know about.
As reported last week, and will be expanded upon later in this show, 36 Oppiuchi has become Hutton's latest playground for pilots and pedestrians wanting to further Alvin's ambitions when it comes to rare items and long journeys. It looks like we're there to stay, but the climb to the top of the table and to those suggestively shaped Exeno artifacts is a long one. Our roving reporters have been in system canvassing opinions as to whether Hutton is actually welcome there, and whether belly rubs, doggy treats and never-ending supply of poo bags for visiting dignitaries are what they actually want. First, there were the criminals in the elements in the system, the Mafia and the Silverhand Gang. As far as we can tell, they're happy. Sitting low on influence in the system, they're happy staying under the radar. Our analysts reckon that they're just waiting for the increased trade once Hutton are in control and happy to bide their time whilst everyone's in turmoil. Then we've got the Federal Corporation. They weren't in control of the system, which means that the local proto-governor has probably been summoned for repeat admonishments by federal central government, and in fact took a bit of a kicking from Hutton, as there were one or two factions tasked with keeping us out of the system. They claim not to have any ambitions locally, thank you very much, which is evident in the comfortable lead that Hutton have taken in the most recent war. Then there are the Sol Workers' Party, ostensibly an independent workers' collective, but everyone knows that they vote federal whenever they're given the opportunity. They hold a lot of the assets, from the Chang Camp military establishment to Hardy Biological Institute. The really interesting party are the ruling faction there in the system, controllers of Katzenstein Dock and Wainbaum City, and by all accounts a bunch of brutal dictators, the 36 Oppiuchi autocracy. Their leader has been in charge for years and years, does things their own way, and most of the time that involves extensive use of a hollow whip on people's hollow hides and incarcerating anyone who disagrees. Which is probably also why the anarchic factions spend most of their time in single digits. In conclusion, it's not just about the rare, nor the long distance, it's about liberating the local population from under the thumb of a dictator who thinks that citrus fruit grows on pizza. The toilet roll ends should hang behind the roll, and workers' rights are the opposite of workers' lefts. Our advance party sent back this report courtesy of Commander Border Eva. This week, some of us older dogs, part of an ad hoc local defence volunteers group, LDV, or otherwise known rather cheekily as the Home Guard, or even Dad's Army, have taken several missions in the war-ravaged system of 36 Oppiuchi. There, under the fearless leadership of a fellow named Legate, we have fought for both the Hutton Orbital Truckers and the 36 Oppiuchi autocracy in the quest to further Hutton's strategic aims in the system. Legate, Ocker and myself, Cappy, wreaked havoc on the opposition, and in the later stages, Ockers and Redlegs and myself Redlegs struck terror into the hearts of the enemy. Well, I think it was the enemy. For all I know, the dictation is off and he is referring to NME, or New Music Express publication. Between us today, success was achieved in a total of 12 ground CZs. For the mug! Apart from that, we're curious about the Mystic Moonacres installation. There are stories. No pictures. No pictures, but stories.
After 28 weeks, Too Hot Too Messy, the Hutton-led initiative to deliver a Hutton mug and Megagin, with which to fill it, to all the stations of the galaxy, has passed 55,000 deliveries. Last week was a marginally better week, but average deliveries were still below 1,500, for 10 weeks in a row. 5,500 is a significant milestone, and, at the weekend, we will pass the original Hot Mess total of 55,455 deliveries, but that was achieved in only 13 weeks. 2 new commanders joined the effort this week, taking the total number to 282 participants. Still representing 91 squadrons, welcome to the challenge. Hutton has the largest contingent, with 74 pilots who have delivered almost 25,000 mugs and gin, which, noticeably, is less than half of the total. So thanks go to all the other squadrons taking part. The Winged Hussars are still in second with over 2,600 muggings, but they are being caught by the Buckyball Racing Club in third, just over 100 behind with almost 2,500 deliveries. The Paladins are still fourth, the Undead are now in sixth, after the Bear Pit moved up to fifth. And that concludes the squadrons that have collectively delivered more than 1,000 Hutton mugs and Centauri Megagin. Commander Chicks is still leading the deliveries table with well over 5,700 mugs delivered. Some say that he's been getting to grips with the Ashika Island. Waller 81 is second with over 5,400 deliveries, ahead of Nemb in third with over 3,600. Shea Blackwood has consolidated their fourth place with almost 2,400, ahead of Infinite Dreamer in fifth with over 1,900. Reese Lang became the newest member of the 1,000 Club last week, the membership of which now numbers 9. Of course, we know all this because it is tracked by the marvel that is the Hutton Helper, and updated live on the Too Hot Too Messy event page at hot.forthemug.com/hotmess2. Also, the Helper is now fully updated and supports both the full-fat Thargoid and Tharg-Lite versions of the game, so however you play, your Hutton Rares contribution will be recognised automatically. Apart from the mere glory alone, there is an additional incentive in the form of a chance to win a real-world, Velcro-free, mods-preventing Hutton mug. Any commander that delivers 10 mugs and gin in the coming week will be entered into the next week's draw to win a real Hutton mug. Unless of course you already have one, in which case you'll already have been immunised against mods. 26 lucky commanders have accomplished this so far, including last week's winners, Torquay Mouse. And you can see a little golden mug next to their names in the top commanders table. Keep listening for this week's winner to be announced in the banter bit after the news. If you had delivered 10 mugs and gin a week, in every week since the start, 6 months ago, you would have racked up 280 deliveries next to your commander's name. Only 40 commanders have. If you haven't, why not give it a try? In order to join in the fun, you'll need to sign up by downloading the Hutton Helper from hot.forthemug.com/download, and then your mug and gin deliveries will be automatically registered for you by Antarius's artificially intelligent, eco-friendly, pine-scented bionic hamsters.
Good evening, truckers. Atris 5060 here with your weekly update on the Thargoid War. I'm going to keep it brief this week, truckers, which is a good thing. Hackswing did an amazing job defending Hezer from the Thargoids. Special thanks to the local squadrons PDES, or is it PEDS, and the Vanguard Marauders. They sound quite scary, they do, for their assistance in holding the line. This week we're going to return the favour to PDES, and those Vanguard Marauders by probing Tharg in A-hole. Sorry? Yes, that's right, it's A-hole. Yes, the Thargoids are in A-hole. Let's get out there and show them that Hackswing can probe A-hole with the best of them. For the mug.
Before we move on to the next item, we have a little more insight into the A-hole situation. It's messy there. Local faction integrated A-hole are up in arms about all the mess. The mob of A-hole are concerned their fetish is about to be wrecked by Thargoids, and the A-hole nobles, well, they've objected to our pronunciation of the system name and are insisting that despite the spelling it's pronounced starfish. After last week's appeal, we had an incoming communication from Commander Millstone Barn, who said he'd put his carrier in A-hole. at which point he realised what he said and attempted to backtrack, but the carrier was on cooldown. We would like to point out that the system name is actually Hungarian for where, so we can legitimately say Millstone stuck it where?
There are reports that the Witchhead Nebula has come under sustained attack by Tharg the Mighty in recent days, which opens a big ethical question for humanity. Unlike the locations near the Maelstroms, where Tharg the Mighty's mighty minions are doing their best to convert everyone in the path into squishy green space goop, the Witchhead Nebula could be said to have been theirs to start with, and indeed, humanity are the interlopers. Originally founded as an outpost for humanity in order to farm meta-alloys, by being really mean to Thargoid barnacles, thousands of ships and their SRVs have swooped, shot, and scooped just about anything alien-looking in the vicinity. Whether the barnacle sites are Tharg's equivalent of a tuck shop, a Dunkin' Donut, or one of those dodgy motorway services that serves soggy sandwiches and overpriced neck braces in the W.H. Smith just by the door, or they're important parts of the Thargoid breeding cycle, humans have made a bit of a mess. And it appears that it's next to the Coal 70 sector, long suspected of being the home of Tharg the Mighty. Should we leave it all well alone and concentrate on our actual borders? Is this a warning that the main Thargoid invasion fleet is coming from that direction, and, as with the dirigible Asp, it's all just a big distraction? These decisions are for other people, but for the time being, Hutton would like to remind all inhabitants of the Witchhead Nebula that should they need a lift home, you can just give us a call, and we'll send a few Type 9s with extra bunk beds, and we'll get you all out of there. We're a little busy, so can't promise that we'll be shooting Thargoids in your area. Well, not unless Flossie tells us there's a triple engineered doohickey with added huff in the rewards bucket, of course.
It was a notable week in Hutton space as things are beginning to return to the good old ways. There is plenty to do to get our systems back where we want them, both for traders and for combat pilots. 5 systems are getting themselves noticed for the wrong reasons. At last, you know where is amongst them. And there are 2 wars, and one of them is in Avic. It's just like old times. More on those stories coming up. Slow to move, Epsilon Indy lost a point, dropping it to 34, making it the week's bearer of the wooden spoon. Almost a quarter of influence is tied up in a civil war that started today, so things are tough to move in Alvin's most populous system. 40% of influence in Narences was tied up in a civil war for 2nd and 3rd place last week, but this is now over, leaving Narnia on 35, with the victor, the Green Party of Semani, on 25. Now is a great time to go crash through the moth-eaten furs out the back of the wardrobe and past the lamppost and boost Hutton's influence. Losing its grip on the bottom spot by gaining 2 points, Ross 671 finds itself 3rd from bottom on 35, mainly by being slightly less awful than the previous 2. Over half of the system influence is tied up in a war and an election, both of which are just kicking off, so don't expect to be able to do much to help until well into next week at the earliest. Still 4th on the delinquent list is Stein 2051 on 37. 16 points ahead of 2nd place, and with no pending issues, it's an ideal time to fill the Stein with beer and other commodities. No, I haven't forgotten it. How could I? Barnard's star has slipped below 40 for the first time in few weeks. Only on 38. That's enough for Alvin to cock an ear and give a low, "What the fuck is going on?" growl. 1 place above on 41 is Avic, where Sirius are up to their old tricks again by taking advantage of a recent terrorist attack to mask the start of yet another in a long line of wars for control of the system. Hutton won the election in Treppin during the week for control of the system, keeping the CIA at bay for now. Well done to the commanders. who made an absurd profit by shipping in medical supplies to bonkers in Wolf 25 a couple of weeks ago. However, it seems like you took away more than just your exorbitant profits into Epsilon Narni. You took a dose of the space lurgy too, so ship in meds to convert into another redonkulous profit and cure some folks as a side effect. Ship water supplies into Wolf 359 as a drought is making throats a little dry. Hutton won the election to stay in 36 off Yuki by a landslide, and now we have a war for third place, in which Hutton have won the first 2 days. At the overachieving end of the Hutton systems table, we have 4 systems above 60%. Priorities this week are, if you want to truck something, boost Narenses and then Epsilon Indian Ross 671 once the squabbles die down. Ship medical supplies into Epsilon Eridani to relieve the outbreak. Ship water into Wolf 359 to relieve the drought. And if you do want to shoot something, win 2 more days of the war in 36 off Yuki and win the war in Avik against Sirius.
Okay, look, whoever is flying that remote-controlled balloon past the station windows, can you please stop? It's giving everybody the willies.
That's no balloon.
I don't know. Is it an 8-sided unidentified flying object?
No, it's a remote-controlled willy.
It's a wally.
A wally.
Or,
It's a wally.
as Volcarius is fond of saying, is it a titty nope?
It's just like a titty nope is just a small amount of something.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's a small. It's a small amount of something.
Cock.
Yeah, Volcarius is saying in chat that a titty nope of extra effort would make all the difference in our a-hole.
Oh,
Yes.
Now, before anybody gets upset about whether we've been inserting rude words into the show, the system is actually called a-hole. A hole, a hole, which is Hungarian for where, apparently.
I think
Plus
it's fair.
there would be-
It's Hungarian for what?
Where? Not what?
I was going to say, plus they'd be absolutely correct in that we do try and insert rude words in whenever we get the chance.
But this one,
The opportunity has been fully maximised.
this one is not our fault. This one is entirely at the door of Mr. TTM Tharg the Mighty, who's decided that just like Hutton, he likes expanding to places with rude names. Maybe we've got an affinity there.
We are quite fond of a good old-fashioned single entendre, though, aren't we?
But I want to know, why didn't we know it was there, and why haven't we asked, Snuggles to go and take over the a-hole for us?
If you ask me, this hole needs to be plugged.
Yes. Do we know how far it is from Hutton Space, that one, as well? I think it's probably a little bit far for us. Well, I suppose nowhere's too far for us, but we're joined in the studio this evening by Commander Amelia.
Hello.
And Amelia, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. I've spent the week visiting the mothership.
Ooh.
It's half-term week, so taken son to go and visit his nanny, and just sort of generally relaxing, eating her out of house and home. I had to roll out the door this morning to get back for the show. Probably going to pop back at some point. Doing all sorts of bits, fitting security lights and cameras for her and bits and bobs. The kind of responsible son-like activities one does, like helping do all of the chores. Yes.
Bless.
And then eating all of her food.
Yes.
Which is
Definitely a son-like activity.
Oh yeah.
I hate
Well, to be
security
fair,
lights.
you were never going to get away with not eating all of the food.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
the fridge was full. It would have all gone out of date if I hadn't.
yeah.
No, can't have that.
Yeah.
And to be honest,
footage.
Yeah, the booze cabinet was
Yeah.
full. It would have all gone out of
I've
date.
tried so hard, but it's a very full booze cabinet.
that's the thing. I have heard that if you open a bottle of whiskey, it goes off very quickly, and you have to
does,
finish
it's
it
terrible.
before it goes off. Yeah.
I wouldn't know. I've never found out.
No. Well, joining Amelia on the other side of the control decks here, we have the apology officer.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, I'm getting closer to my next trip to the land of the North British.
You better bring my broken skateboard.
Yeah, the plan is to bring that. I will be taking it in
That's-
person. I'll be hugging it on the plane.
That's going to be very interesting going through security. What's that? A plank? What have you got?
It's a plank.
I've got a plank. What
Can
you
you
got?
do air fryers do deep fried sporrans, or is that?
I don't know. I don't have an air fryer. I'll have to take it down.
Only if you spill them.
I actually heard something just the other day that it's gone just one step beyond even for me, and I've lived here my whole life.
Oh, they're not using raw crude, are they?
They're not
No,
deep frying
no,
hedgehogs, are they?
It's worse. What you get is a bread roll with chips on it, bit of butter, because you want a buttered roll. So what we would normally call a roll and chips.
Chip butty.
Or a chip
With
butty.
you so far, yeah.
Yep. You put some curry sauce on that and a bit of cheese, bit of
Yeah,
grated
with you
cheese.
so far.
Yep. Then you dip it in batter and deep fry it.
That sounds really nice.
No,
Right.
it doesn't.
It actually does.
That just sounds utterly
Not sure.
Scottish.
No.
I can feel my arteries closing up just thinking about it.
Crash
but
cart.
Aren't you meant
Yes.
to feel that with all Scottish food?
Yeah, well,
That's the
I am.
beauty of it.
As a 52-year-old Scottish person, my arteries should be closing up of their own accord at this point.
It's my arteries. Oh, it hurts my arteries.
I'll have a deep fried chip butty with a defibrillator on the side.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, as you can probably
Yeah,
hear,
defibrillator also deep fried and battered.
sitting next to the deep fried apology officer, we have got Commander
Yeah.
Chicks.
Good evening. Just going back to Entendra's single-on.
Single entendre, yes.
I prefer mine to be double. I'll have a double, please. Thank you. And I'd like to think about entendres. You need to slip them in at every opportunity.
Oh dear, as if the a-hole wasn't bad enough. Anyway, it's just, and then sitting sort of jauntily on the edge of her seat to one side of the apology officer, we've got Flossie.
Hello.
Flossie, I mean, we're going to hear from you later about the CGs. But when we get to the CGs, I may just have to ask a couple of questions, because I was reading things and the WotherSpoon's reading things and go, wow, look, it's got to be a CG. But maybe not, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we'll find out later. But, you know, we were eagerly anticipating your update this week.
Yeah.
And then on the little stool by the door, we've got the litho breaker, bringing up
bringing up the rear. Yeah,
yes, with a very mellifluous new microphone you've got there, sir.
I'm still getting it tuned in, but yeah, it's well, I like it.
You sound almost as rich as, I don't know, an imperial cutter pilot with a hold full of something valuable. I don't know.
Steady on now. I wouldn't go that far.
He's as rich as billionaire's shortcake.
He's as rich as your deep fried battered whatever it is. Yes.
Yeah,
Does it have a name?
I'm not after
That's
paying
just-
for this microphone.
Does
Not that I know of. I'll need to look that one up. I'll get back to you. On
yeah,
that.
there's various concoctions throughout the country that are probably bad
I
for you to
think
have
you
names.
might
Like a
just-
Parmo.
I think-
A Parmo's a bad
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Oh, I love
You've heard
Parmo.
of Pizza Crunch?
Especially done in Teesside, where it was invented.
Yeah.
Oh,
Pizza-
yes. Can't beat a bit
Pizza
of Parmo.
Crunch is a cheap pizza, battered and deep fried.
Well, yeah. I mean, pizza
I've
in any
had
form.
pizza.
I mean, the king of pizza, or the queen of pizza, is definitely cold pizza the morning after for me.
Everything sounds better if it's been battered and fried.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
You'll have heard of a stoner.
What?
A
You
what?
haven't heard of
Is that
a
word of the week?
Stoner. No. Stoner is a big pork sausage, which is where it gets the name. It is Scottish.
It's not
vernacular
German, is
for
it?
No, it's Scottish vernacular for an
Because
erection.
I have a
And what they
morbid
do
dread
then
of
is
German
they
sausages.
wrap it. They wrap the sausage.
I fear the
no,
worst.
I don't care if fear the worst yet. What they do is they get this sausage, they then wrap it in kebab meat, and then they deep fry that in batter as well. Oh, there's a theme of deep frying in batter.
when you say deep fried, are they what are they using? Like extra virgin
Vats of
olive
fat.
oil or
That's
No.
Brent
olive oil,
crude
no.
or
Have you ever
Wow.
tried
No,
finding
the-
extra virgins in Glasgow?
It's chippy fat. It's like plastic. It's like a liquid plastic.
well, it is why Jesus
It's-
was never from Glasgow.
Yeah, it's the
wasn't it?
stuff.
Like
It's vegetable
three wise
oil
men
or
and a
whatever the
virgin.
hell they call it. It's vegetable oil and whatever they've been cooking for the last 3 days.
It's only vegetable oil if cow is a vegetable.
You are what you eat.
Right, well, just
I never deep fry anything.
talking of bizarre encounters of the Hutton kind. During the broadcast, we were talking about 36 Ophiuchi and one particular location there, which I thought, I know what, we'll set a challenge. And while we were reading them out, I set a challenge that there is a rather interestingly named facility, should we say, over in 36 Ophiuchi, which is the hang on a second, the full name of it is the Moon. Hang on a second, it's not the Happy Moon Monkey House, no, because the Happy Moon Monkey thinks that the Happy Moon Monkey wants this house. It's called the Moon. I don't know, what is it? Some crazy ass Moon Palace or something. And I thought, I don't know what, I'll set a challenge while we're talking. For somebody to go and take a picture, thinking, well, 36 Ophiuchi, Katzenstein Dock, 0.14 light years away, is going to take somebody a while.
It's not Big Harry's Monkey Hangout, is it?
No, but it could be the next best thing to Big Harry's Monkey Hangout.
Oh, okay.
But it appears it isn't. I'm just trying to... You know what? You've written something down and now you can't find it at all. Oh, the Mystic Moon Acres installation here. Mystic Moon Acres over in 36 Ophiuchi. We thought, that's going to be miles away. It's going to take somebody ages to get there and take a picture, so I can talk about it later in the show. Well, the Happy Moon Monkey's been there already.
And only 48 light seconds from the...
Exactly. I thought I made a mistake.
It's not 4.2 million.
So the Happy Moon Monkey's been out there to find out what on earth all the fuss is about with this place. Why is it so happy, and what's special about it? So I've got a picture, which I'm going to put up on screen any second. Here we go. Well, that's it from the approaching ship of the Happy Moon Monkey on screen at the moment. It's I don't know. It's a bizarre installation. It's got these sort of two big sticks with balls on the end of them. Which we might need close-ups. I mean, we might have to ask the Happy Moon Monkey to go and to take some more pictures because
we're back onto single entendres again, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, here we go. Here's a slightly better view with the incoming crate. That's a Phantom, isn't it, with those engines? That looks a bit Phantomish to me. Yes, having a look at this place, it looks like somebody decapitated a Star Wars droid and then hung him upside down in space. Maybe.
I think it's very pretty.
It is.
Looks like a food mixer.
It's possible that it's trying to do that spinning plates thing.
Well, yeah.
I hope they're counter-rotating, otherwise they get into trouble.
Yeah, well, we're curious. We're curious about... I mean, are those agricultural domes on the end of the spinny things? Is this a galactic soup maker? Is this the kind of thing we'd use for some winter vegetables to make a warming winter dish of some sort? What's in that landing pad shaped hole bottom left there? Can you fly through the superstructure? Are there any missions? Who owns it? What's it going to take for us to take it off them? All those important questions.
What landing pads do they have?
Well, I think it's one of these CQC style installations, though I've never seen CQC played around one of these. But normally there are scenarios around them as well. It could be a pirate attack or something. So I'm very curious as to what else is going on at this station and whether we should, on behalf of Alvin, take it just for selfie situations.
Even because the way it looks, we should take it on behalf.
We haven't got one of those. We need it. Yeah.
Plus, we can boast that we've got two big balls.
Well, the guys who own it are in second, and we're currently fighting a war for third. So we could possibly take it off them in the next war.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know how these ones change hands, because I know landable assets, you have to win to take them all off people. But these little assets like this, these installations and the ones you can't dock at...
Well, it's potluck, isn't it? They come up, and if you end up having a fight in a war with them again in the future... but it's not that kind of an asset. It's the other kind of asset. That's the thing. Yeah, but
I think if you take the nearest, with these installations like the CQC ones, I think if you take the nearest thing to it, the jurisdiction becomes yours.
Yeah, if we beat them enough times, we get all their stuff.
Yeah, but have you seen...
It's like imperialism.
Have you seen, how many things there are in this system?
Oh God, yeah. There's 44 settlements and 6 installations. There's
Yeah, so we've got 3 orbital ones. We've got Katzenstein
for a couple of weeks, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, Katzenstein, Lunan Holdings, and Weinbaum City. Which there's a song about that one, I'm sure. Take me down to Weinbaum City, where I have no idea. All of which are 4.2 million light seconds away. So all the important things are. But then there's a whole pile. There's a little Bassett Agricultural Exchange, which is only 593 light seconds. There's a few other sort of local ones. There's one at 38,000, a mining facility in Kaplan's Research, those kind of things. And plenty I can't pronounce, but the majority are at 4.2, with a few nearby ones, including this little place here, Yolan Works, Yuan Mineralogic Platform, those. See, those are all, I think, planetary installations that are landable.
Yeah, there's about 20 4.2. It's about half and half, actually. There's half in the near star and there's half in the beyond.
But the interesting ones...
Yuki Future have got most... I'm just scrolling down the list now. 36 off of Yuki Future have got the vast majority of... Yeah, they have. Yeah.
Well, looking at this, then you've got 3 sort of old-fashioned settlements, the ones that I swear nobody's been to since Odyssey came out. The ones that we used to attack in SRVs, Isherwood, O'Donnell and Sallock Base. We need to do one of those again at some point. But the installations, there are 2. There is Mystic Moon Acres, which we've just had photographs courtesy of the Mystic Moon, the Happy Moon Monkey, not the Mystic Moon Monkey, the Happy Moon Monkey. And we might need to rename the Happy Moon Monkey if we take it to the Mystic Moon Monkey, which is a bit more mysterious.
Some idiots already mugged and ginned the whole of 36 off Yuki.
Was it you?
Yes.
Ah, right. And then they've also got
it for us while you were there.
Another
retired. Did I do that one? Oh, it's not on the list. Retired Navy IT1 got a few, and part of Mark.
No, congratulations to them. But there's also cooperative interchange systems, and as the Hutton Orbital Truckers cooperative, that one has to be on the wish list.
Yeah, none of the ones you're talking about are actually muggable because they are.
Oh yeah, these are
installation type.
Installation. I'm just trying to work out whether the cooperative one is. Mystic Moon Acres is fairly close, but
Mystic Moon Acres is not on the list.
Right, Happy Moon Monkey. Just you're gonna have to forgive us if I keep calling you the Mystic Moon Monkey. Now you need to sit in the pose and with incense burning. Go and get yourself some George's Pants Pantar prayer sticks, and you can be the Mystic Moon Monkey now. Right, so just going back on script now because I've deviated. Quite badly. There's a running order of things to talk about.
There is one, but we've been largely ignored.
Yeah. So Frontier livestream this week was awesome.
Lee not there.
Ah, okay. So there wasn't one, but that's okay because they happen every 2 weeks. So it's not my problem next week; it's somebody else's problem.
They are fortnightly.
But we do now have some Twitch drops.
Kira's younger brother.
We do.
Ooh,
and if anybody's been here since the start, they need to go and claim their first Twitch drop for the Python Blizzard Star so that they can start collecting minutes towards their Anaconda Blizzard Star.
Yeah, I've just done that exact thing.
Yeah, already done, way ahead of you.
You already done? Well, just for the benefit of those that haven't seen it before, let's just switch a few pictures around on the screen. There's Blizzard Star. You've got an Asp Explorer, an Anaconda, a Python, and a Cobra. And that's quoting Mr. Braben. A Cobra.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cobra.
Now, for those of us who don't see in full Technicolor, these ones aren't purple.
No, they were described by Lave Radio as being yellow snow coloured.
Yes.
Don't eat yellow snow.
Yeah, that's the stuff.
Watch out where the huskies go and don't you eat that yellow snow.
Yeah, and they do look like they've got some kind of geometric pattern over there. Well, the Anaconda's got it on its nose and the Asp's got it on its asp.
There's sort of a cubic sort of...
Reminds me of a game. You know the one we used to hop up the pyramid?
Yeah.
What was the one we used to have to hop up the Cubert? That's it. So basically it's the Cubert, they're the Cubert paint jobs. There we go.
They're quite nice, those.
Very pretty.
Yeah, very nice.
Halfway through the Anaconda.
Yep. Well, yeah, it's just about 2/3 of the way in the picture.
Nice
yep. Yeah. Right, so yeah, we do have Twitch drops, and they will be running, I think, for a month now. I think the previous ones will be running for a month, so
till the 13th of whatever the next month.
So fret not,
March.
That's the one.
because there are many more shows to come before the end of it. Right, we also have to welcome. Now, this is a controversial one. Whoever's put this in, so not really controversial. Some people think it's controversial, but we need to welcome some more members of the Elite Dangerous Partner Program. Now, what this doesn't mean is you go and look them all up right now because you're listening to us and you'll miss them. But we've got Eralm 237, Celine Stardragon, Hatch the Grinning Crow, Fiery Toad. How do they let him in? Bernardo 7, Run Wild, Nick Lambert, Hawks Gaming, Asgraha, Orbital Jeffo, Lex Lager, and LT Psych.
It does mean if you get fed up of listening to our drivel,
Like that'd never happen.
Yeah, right. You can go and listen to somebody else's at some other point if you don't get your drops.
But you know,
you can listen to drivel in a different accent.
It's nice to see lots of other people joining us. Now, I know there has been a bit of controversy. Flossie, you know, Salt plus forums is normal, isn't it?
Yes, unfortunately.
They go together like somebody...
Salt and pepper?
Yeah.
Salt and vinegar?
I said that.
Salt and forums.
Yeah, like
so,
chip butties and batter.
Without wanting to put words in the Pilots Federation mouth, they're accepting these applications, and I think what they're not doing is doing 2,000 all at once. What they're doing is picking 1, 2, 3, 6... I don't know, 15 or so, a number, and then introducing a few more, and then introducing a few more. What they're not doing is saturating everything with loads and loads of new partners, mainly because whoever's boxing up the planks or whatever they're doing has to have time to do it. And there are some people who feel quite hard done by but what about me's?
Yeah, but the trouble is they'll get chosen at the end, and they'll probably get put in the goal. The sort of
There is absolutely no way
somebody's team.
There's absolutely no way it's deliberate in any way, and I'm sure that no slight is intended upon anybody. It's like there were some, and then here are some more, and I think they're waiting a couple of months between each announcement, and there'll be some more later.
I think you'll possibly find that the ones that complain the most will actually be put into a special pile where they're reserved to be announced as partners at the same time as the launch of the Panther Clipper.
Yes,
and they'll be sent a special.
Too much.
They'll be sent a special skateboard which doesn't have any wheels or a plank.
Talking about the
Yeah.
sort of rotund ginger-haired child. It's just a slight aside, but think about Harry Potter. I can kind of get wizards and all this spells and all this stuff, but come on, a fat ginger kid who's got friends, really? Come on.
Well,
He's not that fat.
Yeah, Ron Weasley's not fat.
Just generously rotund.
I don't even think he's generously rotund. He's not a fat guy, is he?
Who? What?
I don't know. I've never seen it actually.
No, you're being scurrilous and rude and sizist and gingist.
Any opportunity to slip in a gag.
Yes.
One in.
Sometimes we need to. Yes. Okay, so I mean, obviously, there's that one.
Any opportunity to slip one in.
Welcome aboard, everybody who's been on the partner side of things. There was a scurrilous rumour that they only choose people who say nice things about the Pilots Federation. Well, we think they're all smelly and we don't like them. There you go. That's proof for you that it's not that.
We might have said something nice about them once, but I don't think anybody was listening.
No, we do love them really, and actually we're probably one of the guilty parties.
Nobody listens most weeks, so that's probably
exactly. We love the Pilots Federation, but that's not why we're partners. And there are people there who are critical of them as well. So it's got nothing to do with who they love most. Maybe you had a spelling mistake on your application form. Actually, no. If that was true, we would have been rejected as well.
You love them. I think they smell like. You love them. I think they smell like bums.
Yes. Right. We've also got Chucking Rocks. Marco Inaros would be proud. Marco Inaros. Now that rings something expansive in the back of my head. Marco Inaros. This was from The Expanse.
So do you remember? Was it 2 weeks ago where we had a chunk of rock sort of? Just after the show was on, like missed South America by some wasn't very far, was it? I can't remember how many miles up it was, but it was certainly inside.
Let's not be negative. Let's say it nearly
2,000 miles, something like that. So
let's not be negative. Let's say it nearly hit South America.
Now that
no, let's say it nearly hit North America.
Now that the journalists who wrote that story have now figured out where to look on the internet for, narrowly missing as rocks.
Oh God! Yeah,
the internet is full of rocks narrowly missing Earth, and there was one about a meter wide. Well, a meter rock, and it would fit on this studio table. Went over the channel 3 nights ago, and it made a nice green streak.
I think you use.
Is that a nice green streak or a nasty green smear? I mean, what's the difference between a nice green streak and a nasty green smear?
I'm going to say it's green. It's coming from space.
Yep.
I think you used the word journalist quite wrongly there.
I meant to say
doom-monger.
I said journalist. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got it right then. That's what journalist doesn't usually mean. So.
Yeah. Well, does anybody here, hands up, know where the International Meteor Organization is based?
Is this a flat Earth society joke?
Well, you'd think it was on top of a big volcano with those huge telescopes, or in somewhere remote with really good clear skies so that they could see everything. Mm-hmm. No, it's in Belgium.
Oh, Glasgow.
It's in Belgium.
Oh yeah.
That famous
Belgium's nice and flat though. You haven't got any hills in the way. Belgium's good. It's probably in the middle of the large hard-on collider.
Well, that's not in Belgium.
Bits of it might be.
Bits of it
It's not.
Crosses borders, that thing.
It does.
I
the
think
French
it goes
Swiss border.
France and Switzerland. Is it just France? Well, then yeah. It might be bigger than you thought.
It's not.
They're going to put an extension in.
Well, just reading through the article while we're doing this about the previous observation, the one from November, and they were looking at where the US observations reckoned it was going to impact between Lake Erie and Lake Ontario near the US-Canada border. Well, it was going to, but apparently they shot it down.
Yes. They shot it down?
No, well, they're shooting everything down at the moment. Anything floating above anywhere in North America, they appear to be shooting it down, as per our news article about the Alliance as well. Yes, balloons, it's Luftballons. No, it's not Luftballons.
Luftballons.
Yes.
All these balloons remind me of, you remember Porterhouse Blue, where Zipser has to get rid of all the condoms up the chimney, and they're balloons floating all over Cambridge, which kind of reminds me of that. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, so there's all these balloons. There's a lot of hoo-ha about balloons, but apparently there was a news conference this evening that one of them may have been something suspicious, and the rest, well, they weren't, and they're just spending. It's something like $236,000 for each shot they fire.
Come on,
not including
buy a spanner in the American Army and Navy for $236,000.
That's a cost. I suppose that's the cost.
That's like a toilet seat.
That's the cost of putting a pilot up there in a.
No, that's just the cost of the rocket they shot it down with.
Is that all? $236,000. That's nothing.
Anyway, but then there's the cost of, you say, the pilot, the fuel, and getting up that high, and yes. I think everybody's had a bit of an argument. Will you please stop, letting balloons? There's probably some small child over in China somewhere who's crying because they let go of their I don't know,
weather balloon.
Their toy.
The lantern. Right, one of the Chinese lanterns.
Yeah, one of the
with
their
a
lanterns.
note attached to it saying, "Hi, I want to be your pen pal from China."
I can picture some editing of a very famous Banksy.
Well, yes.
yeah.
Well, they shoot it and little streams of paper fall down from when it's gone through the shredder. Yes. But
I was thinking of the wee girl with the red balloon.
Well, there was a situation a couple of years ago
where big rocket getting through it.
We were looking about getting a Hutton mug into space by getting one of these balloons, and you float it up and put a camera on it and then float it back down. One of those balloons with a Hutton mug.
They actually file flight plans for those, so they're not unidentified.
But I mean, wouldn't that just be the most epic shot as this Hutton mug sort of crests over into the atmosphere, and you see the curvature of the Earth, and then you see some kind of American plane and a sidewinder.
Is that coming towards us?
as your balloon goes screaming back down to Earth, yeah.
Your mug, what goes up must come down.
Yes, but the likelihood of it surviving the landing. Well, anyway, switch to guns. No, well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that
it's a Hutton mug.
Yes. And of course, they did have to advise.
It's up far enough. It's not going up anymore. It's going out.
Yeah.
And
they
can continue going out.
they did have to advise the general public in countries where guns are, there's 180 for every 100 of the population, or so. They're those kind of parts of the world, not to fire their guns into the sky at the balloon, because A, it was too far, and B, the bullets you're firing up will come down at some point and probably squish somebody.
They sadly have to remind people of that every 4th of July.
Yes. So what goes up must come down, especially Chinese balloons. Or whatever country they might be from. Anyway, so yes, balloons and green smears across the sky and aliens. Oh, the other one that I found really fascinating was that one of the news broadcasters got asked, could it be aliens? And the answer they gave wasn't, no, don't be stupid. It was, we're not ruling anything out at the moment.
Yes.
Is really? really? Okay, conspiracy nuts.
Theoretically, it could be.
I think that's when.
I want to believe.
I think that's the same as when scientists say it's very unlikely.
Yes, when a scientist says it's very unlikely, generally that means no, doesn't it?
That can mean that can mean from 1 in 100 to never fucking happening.
It's always a dangerous game to talk in absolutes, though, isn't it?
Yes, the probability is low, but it's not zero.
But politicians seem to manage it all the time.
If you said no, it's not a UFO, and then Thargoid the Mighty decided to plop down next week, you'd
feel like a right tulip, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would.
Whereas
if you say we're not ruling anything out, and Thargoid the Mighty plops down next week, you go, well,
Right,
we didn't say it wasn't.
Now we've managed to waffle on so much. I'm approaching my anaconda, so do carry on.
Anyway, so it's time now. We've got to be very careful with the next one. Now, talking of inserting rude words into the show with the a-hole, I understand, though, that there's something small and grey has slipped into an a-hole. Oh dear, I'm just reading through our chat. Yeah. Anyway, there are pilots heading over to aid Atris over in the a-hole. Or a hole, or however you want to pronounce it at the moment. But we have to be very careful with other words. Now, we have got a word of the week, and you have to pronounce this one very carefully.
Yes, word of the week this week is quanked.
A what?
Say that again.
Quanked. Quanked.
Can you use it in a sentence, please?
I can use it in a sentence.
He just did. He said the word of the week is quanked. That's a sentence.
By the time Chicks returned from his exploration ship, he was absolutely quanked and had to go for a lie down. It means exhausted or fatigued from hard work.
That's not why he went for a lie down.
I think the word you're looking for is utterly filthy rich, or perhaps hammering down the door of his local fleet carrier dealer.
You're only allowed one.
So it's a bit like knackered.
Yeah. It's a bit like knackered. I'm completely quanked.
Right, exhausted or fatigued from hard work. So one could say that people doing Too Hot, Too Messy are a bunch of quanked truckers.
Yeah, quankers.
Yes, a lot of quankers. Yeah, we've got to be very careful. There's a quirk on it, and it's not a rude word. It's a quirk. Yeah.
A lot of quanking going on over there.
Yes. Now, is it a quirk or is it a silent? Is it canked or quanked?
Is it silent Q? We're in trouble.
Well, yes.
Quanked. Yeah, you're in a lot of trouble there.
Even in Britain, you never get a silent Q. They're always noisy with people moaning about how long it's taking.
I quite honestly couldn't care. I'm saying it as quanked.
Well, nobody talks to each other in queues, of course, unless you're David Beckham, of course.
No, but they look at their watches and tut loudly.
Yeah.
This is true.
Anyway, before we just move on to the drum roll bit, yes, talking about strange pronunciations, I spent last week being coached in some Turkish pronunciation by the team I was working with over in Turkey. And I just want to say, just for a couple of minutes, or a couple of seconds even, my goodness, watching the news last week and being in Istanbul and being in Turkey, what a terrible, terrible experience it was. To see all the news coming out of it and actually being in the country as well. And all my very best to all my colleagues and those I was working with who've got friends, family and colleagues over in the southern parts of Turkey, because it's been ouch of a week for everybody personally over there. And I'm unashamed to say I'm very glad to be back in Blighty. and not near earthquake zones, because the situation over there is not cool. So all my very best to everybody over there with their friends, colleagues, and families, because it's been, crikey, a bit of a week over there, and I do hope they get all the help they need from the international aid agencies. Anyway, the serious bit aside, my goodness, I've told my office, please, just be a little careful about where they send me, because up the edge of Krakatoa onto Mount Etna or anything like that is, not on the list of things, and that's about as close as I ever want to get to things going a bit pear-shaped from natural disasters. Yeah, we had little earthquakes there, and I had earthquakes when I was in LA. We had a 4.2 while I was in LA, but the situation over there is
nothing like that, though.
Yeah, I mean the scale. It's not like it goes up 3 numbers and it's only a little bit bigger. No, 3 means 3 times. You know what I mean? Three extra means 3 times the size.
Magnitudes. It's magnitudes. Yeah.
Being in the studio here and doing the show, you do realise. Well, certainly for those of us in sort of North and South Britain, what a very boring, very safe, thankfully, country we live in when it comes to sort of natural disasters. So it does make you very thankful about where you live sometimes. Mm-hmm. Anyway, talking about being thankful, we've got somebody else this week who's going to be very thankful because their name's about to be read out. Who's got the drum roll? Has everybody got a drum roll in? There we go.
Yes, this week's mug winner is Pitulek.
Pitulek. Is that with or without the exclamation mark?
Without.
Well, it was just written here with the exclamation mark. I thought, is their name actually Pitulek?
Pitulek!
I added the exclamation.
I like to think it's with the exclamation mark.
Pitulek. So Pitulek.
Pitulek!
Yes, thank you very much for your contribution. 369 mugs delivered so far. And in fact, if you're watching the screen at the moment, who have we got on the lead table? We've got... We've got Commander Willie. I'm just looking over here, and Oplurker in the middle of doing some deliveries while we're talking. There's a couple of first mugfuls just arrived in... where is that? Bratio. It looks like there's a bunch in Bratio and V816 Hercules at the moment. They're in the middle of being mugged at this very second. Ooh. Right.
Just keep your eye on that. 30 seconds.
30 seconds? We will do. But while we're 30 seconds, something 30 seconds long...
I know how we can...
tell us a joke.
We can kill 30 seconds.
Yes.
What do you call an anteater who studies the past? And it's not Bill, George, or Brian.
What about Jeff?
Fred. Brian.
Oh, no.
Baldrick.
I said it's not Brian.
Roger.
Baldrick.
No,
Roger the Shrubber.
No, sadly it's not. An anteater studies the past is called an aardvarchaeologist. An aardvarchaeologist.
Flossie.
Wow.
Okay. Aardvark.
Wow.
Aardvark. Right, Flossie, are you ready?
Aardvark.
I'm ready.
I've got a whole ream of paper dedicated to this next section. Here we go. I think the news intro might be longer than the actual news itself, but here we go.
I hope you're doing the long intro and the long outro.
It's Flossie. It's Flossie. It's Flossie. It's Flossie. And the community goes.
Hello, Flossie here with this week's Community Goals news. There were no CGs last week, and there are none this week either. And that's it for this week's CG news.
Flossie told you what to do.
No one would have believed that in the early years of the 34th century, human affairs were being watched from the timeless worlds of space. No one could have dreamed that we were being scrutinized as someone with a microscope studies creatures that swarm and multiply in a drop of water. Few even considered the possibility of life on other planets. And yet, across the gulf of space, minds immeasurably superior to ours regarded the bubble with envious eyes, and slowly and surely they drew their plans against us. Well, unless you count the Thargoids, that is. Speaking of minds immeasurably superior to ours, it's BeetleJude and WotherJude with this week's Galnet News Digest.
Galnet News Digest, 16th of February 3309. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news, Aegis is back. And following the Thargoids sort of invading the California Nebula, they're sort of invading the Witchhead Nebula too.
Aegis, the all-superpower Xeno Research and Defence Agency, has only been around for 5.5 years, yet it has spent the better part of 2 of those years defunct, following successive rounds of funding cuts and sabotage by Azimuth Biochemicals, the folk that brought INRA, the mycoid virus. Now, with Salvation dead and good riddance to him, and with the Thargoids back in the bubble, the superpowers have realised just how much they miss the sensible, science-based approach to preventing the Thargoids from wiping out humanity. Aegis doesn't do Proteus wave-style magic tricks, and its developments don't backfire. It has developed most of the AX weaponry we use today, and its next mission is to get us safely inside the Thargoid maelstroms, and to find a way of driving the Thargoids out of the bubble. Whether they will succeed or not remains to be seen, but with an A-list of sponsors, including Federal Congressman Tom Gillespie, Deputy Prime Minister Angela Corcoran, and the prismatic princess herself, Aisling Duval, it's hard to imagine how it could possibly fail. Given the alternative is being used as nursery food for Tharglets, let's hope they don't.
2 weeks ago, Archon Delane and his publicity agent, Commander Flossie, used the alleged Thargoid invasion in the California Nebula to attempt a takeover of Alliance bases. The Alliance fought back, and the Kumu crew have been driven back to where they came from. A lot of Thargoids were killed in the process, but the threat level from aliens still seems to be a lot less than the threat level from pirates, with oversized egos and a lack of judgment. This week it's the turn of the Witchhead Enclave to be visited by Thargoids, who are allegedly being nasty to the colonists there, although it remains to be seen if they're anything like as bad as the Thargoids round the maelstroms in the bubble. If they're anything like the Thargoids in the California Nebula, any combat will be strictly opt-in. Humans living in the Pleiades would be well advised to consider taking a week's holiday, starting a fortnight from today, and those in the Coalsack Nebula might like to think about a short break round about the middle of March.
There are rumours that something big might be happening around the middle of March. Perhaps we'll get to see what's inside the maelstroms. Perhaps we'll get to be friends with the Thargoids face to face. Perhaps there will be a massive shake-up in power play, with Angela Corcoran replacing Prime Minister Mahan in charge of the Alliance, and Hadrian Duval taking over the day-to-day running of the Empire. Or perhaps we'll finally be able to order drinks at the bar in our fleet carriers. We'll just have to wait and see.
And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News, we track the aliens invading federal space, so you don't have to.
Commanders BeetleJude and WotherJude. And now, over to a strange little fella with a flat head and a weird light-up finger. Looking like an escaped scrotum and trying to phone home with the Hutton Helper results, it's Mia Harkness.
Welcome to the Hutton Helper results. The Hutton Helper results are sponsored by the Hutton Helper, the only third-party resource to come with a free weather balloon. This week we have the following events: the Just Drifting By, Taking Photos of the Secret Things Cup, the Zeppelins Are Back tournament, the Like Roswell All Over Again Deja Vu Trophy, the Cold War Anyone Charity Shield, the I Just Shot Down Phileas Fogg Spectacular, and the There Are New Takeaway Delivery Drones Lying Bastard Award. So, polish up your lenses, make sure there's film in the cameras, and if your balloon is shaped like a naked lady, you're disqualified. The Hutton Helper results are... oh god, here we go. Right, so, circly thing, square with a circle in it, dot, star, black circle, white circle, jumped 56,000 light years to come first. In distance travelled again this week, third week in a row. Ryko has sold 20,000 tonnes of cargo. Montgomery Python is top mission runner with 780 mission points. Alex Juno handed in 777,777,777 credits worth of bounties. Miet11 handed in 2.5 billion credits of combat bonds, and Afrothaws delivered 4,193 people to their various destinations. So, decals this week for circle, square with a circle in it, dot, star, black dot, white dot, Ryko, Miet11, and Exhaler for exploration data handed in. Also one for Gaia Origin for Our Mind. And let's have a look. So, please email itookpart@huttonorbital.com and arrange to collect your Hutton decal kit, which this week consists of Jamie Oliver's How to Cook When You Have a Massive Tongue cookbook, a pot noodle, and Harry Balzac's address for when you need proper fancy food. I haven't updated that since last week. Seamless! There have been 7 Hutton runs in the last 7 days, and I have updated these. The top 5 are Jay Blackwood, 1 hour 23 minutes and 9 seconds. Sneevis, who I think he'd be called Darth Sneevis, but that's just me. Anyway, Sneevis, 1 hour 23 minutes and 52 seconds. Wilfric, 1 hour 23 minutes and 56 seconds. Norbert Patternod, 1 hour 24 minutes and 13 seconds. And the Berk, 1 hour 24 minutes and 28 seconds. There is a whole galaxy of stuff out there needing latibulated, desalinated, sugar defrosted, exploded, launched, rung in, decked with boughs of holly, motivated, evacuated, unfriended, dejected, manhandled or woman-handled, smeared, deflected, kept warm in the oven, emphasised, snuffled, flip-flop, mistranslated to and from Spanish, chilled, mugged, ginned, wrapped up in a pretty bowl, shipped, short, rescued, having their immersion ruined, battered and deep fried, we talked about that earlier, repaired, destroyed, bought, sold, squeezed, inflated, burnt, frozen, liquidated, evaporated, smelled, licked, discombobulated, recombobulated, head-butted, rubbed, compressed, enveloped, strained, fermented, murderized with an S, interrobanged, upcycled, violently downcycled, disallowed, reallowed after consulting VAR, smelted, loved, adored, cherished and probinated. And you can earn yourself a very fetching Hutton decal for doing it. To get involved, you just have to go to hot.forthemug.com and download or sign up for the spectacular Hutton Helper, available in 3 incomparable formats. Let's face it, anything has to be better than getting your undercarriage shot off over the Middle Atlantic. Anyway, that's it for this week. Back to Studio 5.
Thank you, Mia. And now it's time to head into the archives for a second bite of the Mulachi mushroom.
You are about to listen to Amelia Hawke. She tries all the galaxy's most dangerous rare items, so you don't have to.
This week, with a little more caution than normal, we have headed for the Mulachi system, one of the wealthier agricultural economies in known space. Population sits at a little over 4 billion, and it boasts 2 separate Earth-like worlds from which to farm produce for the surrounding area. Or at least one of them does. Mulachi A1 is a breadbasket of a world, under 600 light seconds from arrival, and the perfect location for food traders. Head out into the system, nearly 600,000 light seconds, and the second Earth-like is a different matter entirely. A planet a third of the radius of Earth, and surface pressure twice as high. It orbits a red dwarf, and whilst it is listed as terraformed, unlike many worlds which have had extensive modification for human life, this has only needed a small nudge in the right direction. The combination of low light and the damp, dank, natural conditions on the planet have led to the growth of a truly original local fungus. The Mulachi Giant Fungus is the most prevalent form of life on the planet, and standing on the surface truly gives you one of the rarest sights in the galaxy. Whilst there is other natural life on the planet, the Mulachi fungus itself can grow to the size of entire continents, creating eerie landscapes covered in tall stems with umbrella caps, huge wide plates the size of landing pads, suggestively shaped protuberances, and terrifying carnivorous fungus that catches local insects and devours them slowly over many years. It is worth noting that at this point, with the low gravity, insect life on the planet has evolved to gargantuan proportions, and it's not unusual to see dragonflies the size of a taipan buzzing overhead. With the dim light from the star and this astonishing canopy, it's like an Earth-like, unlike any other. You can imagine a giant caterpillar sitting on a huge mushroom, hookah in hand. For many, this alien landscape is as terrifying as the Thargoid structures. For others, however, it is purely a gastronomic challenge. Whilst meats, real or factory-grown, are still popular as a source of protein throughout space, the ever-increasing needs of vegans have led to huge fungus farms. Yeasts, molds, including penicillin and more modern derivatives, even rumors of weapons used to defend humanity against the Thargoids. All of these are courtesy of our friend, the fungus. The humble shroom is added to everything from a pilot's essential English breakfast, onward to oriental soups, truffle-infused oils, and right through to a hippie's belt pouch at a festival. The Mulachi giant mushroom has found fame, however, as a rare delicacy. The edible variety is found in groves of enormous thick-veined balls. Long ridges cover the surface, and there is a musty, yeasty smell in the air near them. Prepared, dried and grated into any dish, they impart a flavor quite unlike anything I've ever tasted. It is fragrant, but musty, earthy, and the aftertaste can only be described as similar to petrichor. You know, the smell that hovers over the earth after a good rainfall. Carved and eaten as steaks, the texture isn't rubbery or slimy as one might expect from poorly cooked mushrooms, but thick and meaty. These are protein-rich in a way that many other foodstuffs aren't. In all, it is a delight, however it is prepared. Eating the steaks, I don't actually miss the fact that they weren't once roaming the plains somewhere and chewing the cud. Grated into a arancini, it brings back memories of autumn mornings just after the rain at home. So, why is it rare? The whole continent's covered in Mulachi fungus. You would expect it to be plentiful. What's more, where's the danger? What appears on the face of it to be a huge mass of fungus is in fact a diverse ecosystem comprising toadstools, molds, mildews, and smuts. The veiny edible balls are rarely found. What's more, they're deadly. The spores, should they enter your respiratory system, slowly turn you from the inside out, from an intelligent, articulate member of the human race, into a mindless forum zombie, lurching from thread to thread and moaning in the most disturbing manner before it takes over. Those infested with the spores report visions that would have kept the 70s fad for concept albums going right up until the 3300s. Obsession with legs and feet seem common, as does a penchant for a bit of afternoon PvP, before providing unavoidably, incurably, absolutely, and finally fatal, of course. So this is the mycoid equivalent of fugu, or blowfish. Once harvested, every tiny spore needs to be removed before it can be served. One error, and your diners turn into mindless, drooling creatures intent on devouring anything they find before sitting down, taking root, and sprouting spore-laden hairdos that spread yet more of the fungus. Chefs have to be trained for decades in these skills, and due to the risks, there are very few of them in the galaxy. So it's abundant, but no one wants to take the risk. As for me, well, I'm a natural risk taker, and the risotto I'm about to be served might be my last meal as a free thinker. But, like a Hudson voter, at least I'll go with a smile on my face and ignorant bliss behind my eyes. I'm Amelia Hawke, reporting for the Galnet Rares Digest, and I'm sitting here wondering whether I'm seeing things or that caterpillar just puffed a smoke ring and flashed me a toothy grin. The Galnet Rares Digest. We try the galaxy's most rare and dangerous foodstuffs, so you don't end up believing everything you read on Gullweb.
Put it in a burger for the vegans.
He is my favorite computer system.
You were reading that last paragraph, I thought, oh, I've got a button. You mentioned the word vegans, and I've got a button here marked vegans. And so I mashed the vegans button, you know.
I didn't know that smell was called petrichor.
Yeah, it's the smell after the rain.
Yeah.
I wonder what mashed vegans
I seem to
taste
have heard the word petrichor before, but never the two things connected.
Yeah, it's sort of that. It is an earthy kind of
ozony smell, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
I must admit, when I lived in the sandbox, when I lived in the Middle East, when I came home occasionally, I once found myself in the back garden with a handful of earth that I dug out of the back garden. I was smelling it, and the missus came out and giving me funny looks, like, "What are you doing?" Oh, I'm going, "Smell that!" And she's anyway. She obviously.
That's the last time.
Just pull my finger was the sentence before that. You know,
it's the last time she did what you told her when you said smell that.
But it is. It's that marvelous smell here, and when you don't smell it, you really do miss it. Take it from me. Yeah. That and proper bread.
Oh yes, the smell of proper bread.
Unfortunately, the field behind us regularly has cows in it, So if you pick up a random handful of mud and sniff it,
Yeah.
probably not a good idea.
The best
Yeah,
idea
it
to
might not
wash
be-
your
it might
mushrooms
not be
after
mud.
picking, yes. In that field particularly. Well,
Yes.
look, thank you very much, Amelia.
Absolutely my pleasure.
And thank you very much to whoever's been working the ticker tape this evening. Treza
Well.
Muzon, yes.
Are we going to? I think we are. We're going to leave our listener in the lurch, aren't we?
Leave them in the
He's not-
lurch.
Well,
Yep.
he's not going to get his AspX Blizzard Star.
Not
Even-
without
it-
tuning in next
with
time.
Well, it does say
Or watching somebody
AspX,
else.
as in X was formerly, rather than AspX.
Yeah.
No,
Get
it's an
X-Pass.
ex-Blizzard star. It's somebody that used to work for a different games company.
Ah, yes, of course.
Or an ex-trucker.
Like StarCraft.
I can't believe you
For
people
example.
slag. I cannot believe you people slag me off for my aardvark jokes. no one, you come on with this stuff. Let's just call it
Quality
stuff.
comedy. Not
Yeah,
like
it's good
yours.
quality comedy.
Well, we need to. I tell you what, you're suffering with apology withdrawal symptoms because we haven't had one for a while. So this is a reminder to the Hutton community that if you do have a disaster, if it was amusing or at least somebody would have pointed and laughed while you did it, whether you've gone nose first into a planet or eaten by a Thargoid after accidentally going out there in, I don't know, your dolphin instead of your combat ship, do drop us a note with the consequences of said accident so that we can insert some more apologies into the show.
Yeah, and we'll take whatever you said very seriously. Then we'll
we will definitely
we'll
not
extrapolate a story from it. We won't laugh at you. We won't laugh. We'll
leave that to the listeners.
Yeah, we'll take the summary that you've given us and we'll expand it into something, probably lies, and we'll tell a story with your name on it, and probably give Rampage
Even
some
if your
blame.
name is the US Air Force.
Yeah.
Oh no, we'll laugh at them.
Yeah, as long as it's not classified.
That's sort of what
absolutely.
I'm pointing out.
But anyway, we're going to be back next week with maybe something different, something new, maybe some CGs. Flossie, have you got any,
I hope
hints?
so. No.
Insider knowledge.
No insider
You
knowledge.
must have some,
If she did, she wouldn't tell this lot. Look at them.
I wouldn't tell anybody, but I don't have any.
Come on, we know you go to the CG meeting on Monday afternoon.
We know more than me. No.
So you're not going to give us any hints?
Firm denial, or are you
I
neither
hope there are
confirming nor
some.
denying?
Yeah, was that a politician's denial?
No. I hope there are
Did anybody-
some because it's getting embarrassing week after week.
I think
Did anybody see that wink as she said no?
I think she's not ruling anything out. Aliens.
Balloons.
I'm fed up of having to post on the
CGs,
forums and no
zips as
CGs
condoms.
this week.
Well, you get all the flack for this one. It's clearly
Oh, yeah.
all your fault, Flossie.
Definitely,
Yeah.
yeah.
You should all read what Volcarius has put in chat.
Yeah, well, yeah, Flossie writes the CG. This deadbeat. Well, I mean, if you were writing them, we'd be going. We need to ship something to Witchhead to help defend it, or maybe evacuate passengers. But that would be one for this week. That's what I was expecting.
Yeah.
That's
read
what Amelia
Galnet.
Amelia was talking about. Volcarius has said this week is a TCCGG, defend our
A-hole.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
a-hole.
Or it could just be, they're giving us a week off so people can do some too hot, too messying. A bit of a break from things. Or did I dream it, or did I read somewhere in the Galnet or Galnot news that about them trying to come up with something to try and get through the Maelstrom's caustic cloud a bit better?
Yeah, I think
there's,
Kayam was asking about that.
There's a caustic sink being planned that's being rumoured, and
We used to have
hinted
one
at,
of those in the laboratory at work.
I used to have one of those on the right
Yeah,
panel of my
it's gonna
cockpit
be.
that you couldn't synthesize, but yeah, that's a whole different thing. Wasn't there a caustic heat sink appeared for a while in your right-hand panels that you could see but you couldn't synthesize?
Pass.
What would you do with a
Possibly.
caustic heat sink?
Pass me another.
I don't know, or maybe that's to burn off caustic things a bit faster that never happened. But does this mean that we might be getting closer into the middle of the maelstrom before we go boom? But it's not that kills you, the caustic, is it? It's the wave. It's the big wave that comes out from the whatever's at the heart of the maelstrom that gets you, that boots you out. A bit like us at the end of the show.
The Mexican one.
Kesnick is asking if those devices are being field tested in Cubicle 3.
Well, unsuccessfully,
judging by
the smell wafting down the corridor.
It's got a pretty caustic sink.
Well, we will be back next week. So what are the dates for next week? Thursday's the 23rd. I'll be around next week.
Oh, it's green room next week.
Yeah, it's green room.
So I might actually be in for a green room. So to all those of you, the current 56 viewers watching us at the moment, if you want to actually pop in and say hi next week during the show, we do a section at the end where we go into one of the channels here on TeamSpeak. TeamSpeak server address, Flossie, is
TS ForTheMug.com.
Yeah, ts.forthemug.com, which Amelia is definitely not a
it's definitely not a website address.
That's the server address.
TeamSpeak. Yeah,
yes.
It's a server address. TeamSpeak server address.
Yes, we do still use TeamSpeak mainly because that's where we broadcast from here. So if you do want to pop in and say hi and give us tales of what you've been up to, then do hop into TeamSpeak at that server address, pop down to the green room, and then when we get to this bit of the show next week, we'll pop in and say hi. It's a lovely short thing. You just say hi, what you've been up to. If you've got nothing to say, you say for the mug. We don't need sort of a complete war and peace from everybody, because if there's a lot of you, then yeah, that takes us till well past midnight.
And guarantees the drops.
It guarantees the drops.
We do have a magic tool that tells us who should be next.
Yes.
Also
the
known
Aspects has landed.
There you go.
Valkyrius' magic thingy.
Valkyrius' magic thingy, we can wave it next week. Right, now that drop has happened, for those who've been watching since the beginning, it's time for us to head towards the end of the show. Does anybody, before we do the emergency announcement, have anything to add? No. Excellent. Right, now, for those of you that have not listened to the show before, and 3 of you have already left before this happens, well done. Anybody else wants to, you're welcome to leave now, or you can listen to songs and things. Right, we are about to come to part of the show where you need to move your headphones slightly away from your head just for a few seconds. Just for your safety. And when you hear the sort of outrageous noise that comes from that, you can then tune into the end of the show tune, the Hutton theme tune. And we might or might not raid somebody, depending on where anybody's going. But take your headphones away now. We're going to count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
For the mug! For the mug! Mug.
Journey too long, no cargo too small. Profit margins never really mattered at all. We're gonna take the cargo where it's needed today. Super cruising all across the Milky Way. We're taking anything, anytime, anywhere. Loading all the teen out to the brim with the rest for the more, for the more, for the more, for the more. Yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the more, for the more, for the more, for the more. Yeah, everybody sing the trucker song. Flossie always seems to crash into the sun. Skibble lights the pilot on the Xbox One. Alvin out the frame, you know he leads us well. Trucking across the galaxy, now everybody out. For the more, for the more, for the more, for the more. Yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the more, for the more, for the more, for the more. Everybody sing the Hutton Trucker song. For the more, for the more, for the more. You know just where we're coming from. For the more, for the more, for the more, for the more. Everybody sing the trucker song. So give me a large path that I can land on, and I'll give you cargo and sing you my song. No point 22 light years to go, cruising to no journey too long, no cargo too small. The profit margins never really mattered at all. We're gonna take the cargo where it's needed today. Super cruising all across the Milky Way. We're taking anything, anytime, anywhere. So shout it out loud, like you don't even care. For the more, for the more, for the more, for the more. Yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the more, for the more, for the more. Everybody sing the trucker song. For the more, for the more, for the more. Yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the more, for the more, for the more. Everybody sing the trucker song.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the show. Everyone's buggered off now, so why don't you bugger off too?